This podcast is brought to you by The Trading Floor. The Trading Floor is on a mission to build an amazing community. A community of like-minded individuals who are looking to take their trading to the next level. Whether you are just getting started, been at it for a bit, or are well into your trading career, The Trading Floor has you covered. We provide you with all styles of trading, helping mold you into the trader you want to become and reach your goals. If you are looking for a wonderful place to learn, grow, and expand your horizons, become part of the Trading Floor and discover the next chapter in your trading journey. Take the next step by visiting our website with the link down in the description. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the podcast.
We're back. I'm Jay.
I'm Christy.
And this is the Trading Floor podcast. It would be episode 2, but it is episode 3 because we were excited to launch 2 episodes during the first week. And so you're seeing this now on Monday, October the 10th. And we actually released a Smart Money Concept podcast on Friday. And so I'm pretty excited, Chris. What about you?
I'm super excited to be doing this. And I like doing the 2 a week. This is kind of fun. This is a lot, but it's fun.
It's not fun on the editing side of things, but it's fun on the content side of things. So in this episode, we'll be going over proprietary firms, aka prop firms, and we got a special guest with us. And as you can see at the bottom, Miss Navy, some might recognize from the Discord. What's up?
Hi guys. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. I think
we're super excited to have you on the podcast because you've been around for a while, like multiple groups now with us. And I know I've personally have talked to you for a while. So it's kind of cool. I've been able to watch you grow through your journey and all that. So it's been really, really cool. So it was so cute. She comes on, she's like, I'm a huge fan of you. And I'm like, I'm a huge fan of you. So I'm really excited to have her on here. So it is really, really great. She's definitely been in the community. I did leave her solo in Strategy Wars. I apologize, Miss Navy, but you did a wonderful job with Happy Trail. Oh, it's still salty.
I was actually going to bring that up too. Because somebody from Australia isn't even trading Outback and decides to trade Happy Trail. So I don't know what to say.
I did it for Christy, okay? I'm a huge fan of hers.
Yeah, Team Christy. Woo!
All the way.
There's the Team J people are definitely in the back.
All right, so we are super excited to have Miss Navy on here. So a lot of you guys who don't know this will know now that she has actually been able to take advantage of using some of these prop firms. And that's why we brought her on, because I myself am a prop firm trader. Jay has used them too. But we wanted to bring somebody from the community who truly is using them, who has benefited from them, who is trading live with them on multiple accounts, I believe. So we're going to talk to her a little bit, get her view of them. But let's get into Jay a little bit so he can explain what the prop firm is, what the concept of them are, in case you guys aren't familiar with them yet.
Yeah, so thanks for handing it off.
You're
Chris.
welcome. Yeah.
But
getting good at these.
Just kind of, I wouldn't say long story short, but just to give kind of a generalized explanation of what a prop firm is, it is basically an organization. You can almost think of it as a hedge fund, but not really. Just think of it as a business adventure for people who have a bunch of investors that potentially allow you, aka the personal traders, to trade their firm's capital. So it's an advantage because you don't have to trade your own. It's a little bit less risky, which is really good. So the firm and the trader both take cuts of the profit every time you make it, depending on whatever prop firm you go with. Some start off right off the bat bi-weekly payouts, but some you have to actually wait the entire full month of being live and then you start your bi-weekly payouts. And this is also talking whenever people say they trade with a funded account, this is what they mean. They're trading with a prop firm. And so there are too many prop firms. The main ones are like FTMO, MFF, and E8. Others are like 5%ers. Y'all could probably name some too, but I feel like they're literally spewing out every week. And on Discord, it's like, I'm trying this prop firm. Have you ever heard of it? I'm like, when was this created? Like,
Yeah.
every
I think true Forex funds is what I'm hearing a lot recently. But again, it's
true.
like a newer one where I'm like, and like I'm constantly getting questions. And they're like, what about this one? I'm like, I can't even test them and try them as fast as people like start spitting them out. But yeah, I think E8 and FTMO and my Forex funds are probably the biggest ones right now.
Yeah.
With FTMO being like the granddaddy. That one's like old school, been around, not old school. Old school's like a few years for prop
It
firms,
goes
but
way back.
it's been around, yeah.
But with these prop firms, they not all of them have this. Majority of them just have evaluation accounts, but some of them do have kind of like a beginner type of account, evaluation, and then also like more of an accelerated account where you can just go into it live. And so with the beginner account, it's more of let's give a 3-month evaluation on how you do. You might get a slight profit share with that. And it just gives the firm an idea if you can trade. And then from there, they could scale you up. Evaluation, which I'll be discussing soon, is the most popular option for a lot of prop firms where you have to pass 2 phases and then you get your live account. Passing has certain parameters with percent gain, and you have to make sure you don't get into drawdown and stuff like that. But that's that. And then the accelerated account that I said, basically you go into it live, but you have to usually pay more in comparison to an evaluation account because you do start live and you get less of a profit share because it's more of a risk on the prop firm to take you on live right away. But getting into the eval side of things, I just used MFF because MFF is kind of one of the cheaper firms to do this with. It can range anywhere between paying a fee of $49 to about $1,000 to potentially have the chance to get an account, and ranging from either $5,000 to $300,000, which is it's a lot of money. It's a huge opportunity for a lot of people. But
yeah, some firms even go up to like I've seen $1 million now.
Yeah, like MinFX, but it's super restricted.
Very restricted. If it's too good to be true, it probably is. But we'll talk about it.
Yeah,
go ahead, Jay.
we're gonna hit on that soon. But the main factor is it's a pay to play system, in the fact that you're paying a potential $50 to $1,000 fee to have a chance to get the account. It's not guaranteed, but they lay out all the rules for you so you can read up on it and make an informed decision for yourself. But think of it, I like to say this, think of it as like a safety deposit. If you ever go on vacation and you rent out a condominium, they'll make you put down a safety deposit in case you wreck anything. They'll take that deposit from you. But if you are a nice person in the condominium, you'll get your money back. And that's the same thing with the prop firm.
I do not think you're about to say condominium every time, just so you know.
You don't. I have a sophisticated vocabulary.
That's not like what I was thinking in my head. I was like, "What is he about to say?"
It's your mind out the gutter.
It is early here. It is not in the gutter, bro. I was like, "That is the wrong podcast, Jay." The hotel is what I was thinking, or something like that. But so
if you go to the beach, a condominium. They're fancy. They drink with their pinkies out. You know what I'm saying? No, but
be a day trader.
But this fee is pretty cool, is that you pay the fee outright, and then if you pass the account, majority of the firms will actually reimburse you of that fee. So technically, if you're a good trader and you just lack the capital, you can potentially trade a $300,000 account for free, which is pretty cool. But it's not guaranteed. 97% of people fail. I'm pretty sure that's how the prop firms usually make their money, because it's a business at the end of the day. They profit all the people failing, which kind of sucks.
An MFF number, that 97%? Or are you just like spitting that number out?
Spitting out numbers.
Okay.
I'm just
checking facts.
I'm not a data guy, but
it is definitely high, and I know MFF actually has released their numbers before, so they have talked about like their traders and the number of people.
It's been a while since they released that. I think it was like in November.
I think they don't want to keep releasing it.
Yeah, they're like, we don't need people to see this. But in the evaluation accounts, you have to worry about things like drawdown. So like there's a floating equity rule of 5%. So what that basically means is, let's say you took a trade and you lost 2%. So you're down -2 on the day. And then you're in a second trade and it's running down and you actually hit -3 on the running trade, well, that technically adds up to -5. Even though you haven't closed the account, it's a floating equity rule. And I think FTMO is probably one of the only big firms that actually doesn't implement that floating equity rule. But yeah, you have that, and then you have a negative overall drawdown of your account, 8 to 12%, depending on what prop firm you go with. And then you have in your phase one, to pass phase one, it's usually around 8 to 10% gain. You have a full month, so about 20 to 23 trading days. And then if you pass that, you go to phase two, where you usually, majority of them are 5%, where you have to make 5% in 2 months, aka about like 40 something trading days. Once you do that, you're live. And then, like I've said before, some actually will make you wait a full month before giving you the first payout. Some will actually start you bi-weekly. They pay you through PayPal. Some do direct deposit to your banks. Some even do cryptocurrencies as well. Yeah.
Deal you can sign up for too, and they'll just
deal as well. But yeah, let's just kind of get into the benefits. Like, what's the point of trading?
To just kind of explain a little bit more about how Jay was saying, the other thing that a lot of people don't understand about it is that you end up getting, if you pass, you end up getting hired on as like a contracted worker with them. So what that means is that like they don't take out taxes. So wherever you live, like that's your responsibility. Like there's all these kind of things. So like you're not an employee for them. So just so you guys understand that, if you don't know that, like you would be considered a contracted worker. They'll send you like a little form where you'll sign, acknowledging that you understand that you're a contracted worker. You're not going to be like their actual employee. You're not going to an office and sitting and trading there for them. You're doing this all like third party. And eventually, if you were good enough, the idea is that they should want to copy trade your trades to their system. We'll talk about that, whether I believe some of them actually do that or not. But as far as the benefits go, there's definitely benefits. I am actually super jealous of people who are starting trading now. I did not have prop firms the way that we have now. Had I would have. I mean, I've still would have lost a ton of money. I'm not gonna let's not get. I would have lost a ton of money still, but I would have probably been more inclined to actually try prop firms instead of using my own capital. Prop firms did exist. I don't want to say that they didn't, but like they weren't what they are now. The prop firms that I had access to as a retail trader in like 2015, 2016 were very, very different. They were true prop firms in that they had these like scaling plans. Jay can kind of explain a little bit more about that when he talks about the cons. But the rules were way more strict. Like you were like talking about, like, I think that I remember seeing one of them and like, this was like, wow, like they're allowing you 5% drawdown. Like you could have like 5% drawdown or loss on the account. And that was like a big deal. You definitely had to make 10%. That was always the thing. It just was way harder. It just wasn't what it is now. There, even at the end of it all, like you couldn't hold through the weekends, you couldn't hold through news, you couldn't have super scalping. There were time limits on how long your trades had to be held for. Like it was much, much harder. And then at the end of it all, most of them would want to do an interview with you and go through each of your trades and see like, are you still too risky for them? Now it's like, you just like pass.
Yeah,
and
I definitely came into the game since then, like 2 years. But,
way harder.
What about you, Navy?
Intimidated. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely so lucky that I don't have to go through the experience Christy's went through. That's crazy. I
didn't go through it. Wait,
yeah.
let me be clear.
It's just the experience of not having it.
I did not go through that experience.
Okay.
So let me be clear. I did not, because I was like, there's no way I'm good enough. Like I'm going to fail. I'm going to embarrass myself. Yeah. So I struggled on my personal account, but I think there is a benefit to what I did where I started small and I built up, but it did take me so it took me about 2.5 years to get consistent. And then it took me about another 2 years to truly build the capital that I needed to make good payouts. Like what I would have been able to have in a month if I could have had a prop firm. So
imagine worrying about that, Navy. Couldn't be us.
I know. But like, I feel like what Christy went through is like the ideal process that everyone should go through, because like with prop firms, everyone's so eager to really get funded when they're not ready yet. And like, when you start small, you're risking your own capitals, which is like slow and steady. You're not going to go on full on risking like 5% or whatever. You're going to actually feel the experience. So like, I feel like, yeah, like even though having the opportunity to go for a prop firm helps accelerate that process without having to risk your own funds, I also feel like it kind of deters your like TRAs or whatever. It kind of hinges your performance and ability to actually succeed, because you're trying to get funded so fast because you want that big payout every single time.
So yeah, I think that for me, the reality was, like, I've talked about this in the first episode, and you know, maybe you haven't heard it, but you kind of know my story too, as far as I started, because you've been around. But for me, it was, you know, 2.5 years to get consistently profitable, and then it was almost like another 2 years before I even ever took a withdrawal, like a real withdrawal, where like I was taking money out. So in my head, the end game was very long. I had to build capital before I could ever touch that money. So I was working normal through it and whatever. And for most people, I think that they come into prop firms with this dream, you know, of like, oh, just 1 month and I can get money, like quick access to money. And that's not the case. You can't really approach them like that. But the truth is that it is a really good way to get access to capital for a beginner trader. Like, that is something that is good. If you really truly are ready and you are lacking the funds, I mean, it can be wonderful. Like, it can be a really, really great way to, even if you only get 1 month or 2 months of a payout, like if you get a nice payout, like that's kind of nice, you know, it can be worth it. So I definitely think there is an advantage there that I wish I had the ability to have tried out. But again, I'm not disappointed in how I learned, but I can definitely see the benefits. I think there is a lot of people who, you know, kind of misinterpret prop firms, and we can talk about that in the disadvantages. But as far as advantages, I mean, it's definitely an advantage to have access to higher capital for a minimal fee. My other very favorite thing about them, and I to this day still trade prop firms. I trade my personal accounts. I do trade those, but I trade prop firms, and I trade a lot of them. I do trade a lot of them. I have like, right now I currently have 5 accounts. I have, well, I'm not going to talk about who I'm with because I don't want to sponsor people like that. But
no free advertising from us, suckers.
No, well, I just don't want to be like, that's who Christy uses. But and then they close or something. I've been down that road with a company, Funding Talent.
Oh, Funding Talent.
Funding Talent did that to me, and I was like, oh, this is awkward. So anyway, I don't want to do that. But there are really good ones to your research. We just talked about some of the bigger name ones, but I have 5 accounts with most of those bigger name ones. But I split up. No, I split all my accounts up. In fact, one of them still in evaluation, because I'm always kind of like moving things around and doing things. And people think like, if you make so much money, why do you use prop firms still? And the benefit to them, one of the perks that I would say is because if something goes wrong, I didn't lose my own capital. I lost my sign-up fee. So I still think it's worth it to use prop firms. Yeah, they take their cut or whatever, but I'm always very quick to withdraw my profits. I know some people like to save their money and scale. I don't give a crap about scaling my accounts.
You never know if they're gonna like shit the bed, you know.
Yeah, I have learned the hard way over time. You know, I use them to my advantage, just like they kind of use their gray rules to their advantage. And it can be worth it. They definitely do. If they're reputable, they pay out. And I think that being able to, you know, have in your mentally in your head to have a bad month, if you had one, and to know that if you hypothetically go like negative 12% or something on your account, you didn't lose, you know, potentially, say it's a 100K account and you're like negative 12, and you didn't lose actual $12,000 of
you didn't lose anything because you got refunded if you're live.
Yeah, you just lost your sign-up fee.
If you're still in the evaluation phase, you lost your fee, but like comparative to like 12% of an actual account.
Where you could have potentially lost like $12,000. Like, that's a big difference, and that's much harder mentally for you to come back from. So like, yeah, you lose your sign-up fee, it sucks, but like, you know, figure out what you did wrong and sign back up when you're ready again. You know, do a couple of the free trials.
That as appetizing as this is sounding, because it isn't too good to be true. It's hard to do, guys. Just the fact, I just looked this up too, because I didn't remember the numbers, but there is
97% you made
up. No. It's a different stat. It's a different stat. We're moving on. We're improving. Bridgewater Associates, y'all may have heard of them. It's like one of the top hedge funds in the world. And so last year, I mean, they have billions of dollars. And so last year they had a great year and they made 40%. And so just to put that into perspective, it's a little bit above 3% gain per month. And these prop firms are expecting you on an evaluation to make 8 to 10% in a month. So like the professional traders, like people, and even MFF has gone about this and said it, which is kind of messed up, is the fact that all the traders that they actually copy all have a common trend where they wait for their bi-weekly payouts after they make 2 to 4% during
they
that.
stop trading. So what it means is like they will stop trading. And I do this. So I mean, I don't want to say that everybody should do this, but I do stop trading because like I have my accounts so spread out, and that's something over the years that I've gotten used to doing. But I don't need to show up, and I don't want to be on your leaderboard. I really don't. I want to be as low key as possible. I want to come in, make some money off of this account and make some money off of this account and make some off of this account. And like, 2,000 here, 4,000 there, like that adds up at the end of the month. And when you have, biweekly or monthly, whatever your firm is paying, like it's not bad. And like, if you get to that 2 to 4% range, like I really do suggest you stop trading because you are more likely to over risk now or do something stupid. And now like you had guaranteed profits. Like I've said it before, and like I'll always say, like if it hurts you to lose that money, like it really like hurts you and you're like, oh my God, like I can't lose it. Like I've already spent that money, spent it however people might have spent it, then don't trade it. Just let it sit there and wait for your withdrawal. But people have this greed that comes over them that they like can't stop it. And that's a big problem that we've seen.
Yeah. So I remember I was talking to Roxy about this because I remember Roxy said she had one account for bills. So she would make enough for the bills and then she would jump to a different account and make some profit there and then jump to another account. And like, I literally thought that was a genius because I remember a while back when I first listened to your YouTube videos, you're all like, professional traders, you're not expected to make 10% per month. And that's that's like not what you expect. So like with all this like changes in like the prop firms and like, requesting 10%, I was like, oh yeah, once you achieve it, don't go like crazy. Like just take the money, be happy with it, don't get greedy because the more money you have is great, but like you can always just spread it out and just take a little bit here, and as long as it's consistent, it goes like over time, it grows.
Yeah, the 10% thing is like people get really, once they pass, people get so focused on passing, and we'll talk about it. I guess we can get into it a little bit, but people get so focused on this. I'm gonna get into it.
There's no choice. I'm just gonna do it.
So we're doing it. But people focus so much on this passing, like want to pass an account, and everybody thinks like once I pass, but then nobody thinks about like after you pass, like what do you do now? And I have seen so many people pass the evaluations, but never make it to the 1 month payout or first payout because they're still in this challenge mindset where it's like, well, I have to make this, and everybody just wants to go gung ho and like just like, well, I got to make my money, and like you're not thinking like, how do I sustain this? So 2% is fabulous. Like you don't need to make 10% every month. If you actually made 10% every month, like that would be that's really good money. I definitely do not make 10% every month on each of my accounts. And that would be lovely. That's not the reality of it. I usually shoot for somewhere between 2 to 5% or so. Once I make that, I'm like, at 5%, I'm definitely done. I'm like, nope, done. I'm done until my payout. Because, that's a lot of money at the end of the day. It does make a difference. But different accounts. And I love that Roxy told you that because I do the same thing. The other thing is you never know, you might lose one. So it's what I see a lot of time, people think I'm crazy because like, they're like, well, why don't you compound your stuff? Because you can do that on a lot of these accounts.
I've actually had that problem and I can kind of go off of that. I've lost a live account before because I was kind of testing out risk calculators, and I swear it wasn't on my end because it worked on all of my personal accounts, but it's just the fact that I went to place a trade. I'm not going to say what firm it is, but I went to place a trade, and all of a sudden I sent Christy this video. I was like baffled. I clicked the trade, I hit enter, and 40 trades just spit out, and I am panicking because I'm risking 1%. I'm like, I'm way over leveraged. I start Xing them out on the side in MetaTrader, and as I'm Xing them out, more are popping up. So I'm like, what am I doing? So I literally focused in on my left click trigger senses and I spammed that to get the trades off, and I lost my account. I was like, guys, like that's not my fault. And all they were like, well, I mean, you could pay the fee to get your live account back. I'm like, no. I mean, it's super frustrating.
It is frustrating, and that happens, and like that's why we keep multiple accounts. You can have a live account and something happens, and now you just like lost it, and you're like, oh well, that sucks. And if that's the only account you have, yeah, there goes your money for the month if that's what you're counting on. We suggest not only counting that, but that really sucks. And now you have another month where you have to pass it, and potentially another month that you have to wait to get a payout. And it's like, geez, like that can really be a hard hit. So yeah, multiple accounts when you have accidents like that, like can help. I randomly get them taken away. I own it. I know it. They love to get me for like random gray areas. I had like actually 3 of them taken away. What was it, May or so? There was kind of a cleansing going on from what I heard. But yeah, I had 3 of them taken. One of them potentially I would have been like, okay, I could see it. But then they took my other 2. I was running an EA that I was testing. And then I had 2 that I was manually trading 100% myself, and they took the EA one, and then I was like, all right, whatever, if you feel like it's too close to like copy trading of something. It sucked, it wasn't, but I was like, take it, it's fine, like I have to have 2 other, like no, whatever, I have others. But then they took my others, and I was like, wait, what? I got put on the bad kid list for a little bit, but
just before we get into the disadvantages, I kind of want to end on this, and it kind of adds to what y'all are both saying, is the fact that people are too gung-ho on percent gain. And so I say this a lot as a data guy, obviously I'll know by now, but there's like a trifecta rule that I kind of apply in the transition of becoming a better trader. It's the fact that beginner traders, the main stat that they focus on is win rate. That's all that matters to them. They look on YouTube like, oh, 90% win rate, this must be good. Then you start understanding that it was like, okay, win rate doesn't really affect everything all that much. People can have a 10% win rate and do really well, and people can have a 90% win rate and do really bad because that one trade that they lost, they just over risked to where they lost all the profits they had before. And then we get kind of into like the intermediate level where they understand like, okay, win rate's not everything, and they're like, okay, percent gain is king. It's like, okay, yeah, it's like the more percent gain I have, the more money I'll get. I want to max this out, which is good. It's still good. But then once you get into that advanced level, how Christy's kind of already gone over it, it's the fact that drawdown is ultimately king. If you can pinpoint a strategy where you might only see 2 losses in a row, you could compound that so heavily because you could just add prop firms on top of prop firms on top of prop firms and just copy trade it. And if you have like very, very quality setups, you might only get 3 or 4 trades a month. But if you only get 3 or 4 trades a month and majority of them usually win all the time because it's super high quality, you can risk more than 1%. You can risk maybe 2% and you're good. You're set. It's copying on all of your firms, and that's key. So just kind of wanted to go over that.
Yeah. So I kind of went through pros and cons in that. But that's the truth, is like there's really good things about it. If I had it available to me, I definitely would have been looking into it. I think though, like we've just said, like I wouldn't, as a new trader, I wouldn't go quit your job and decide you're going to be like a prop firm trader. Like that's a bad idea. You don't want to do that. You don't want to get overly excited and start spending money if you're making it on an account that you can't do. I have seen people do that. You just want to take it for what it is, where it's extra income coming in, and use it like that. Use it as a good way to learn. Like you have rules you have to follow, and they're good rules. They will make you a better trader if you do follow their rules. But, they're there for a reason. And a lot of times I think people jump into these funded accounts not understanding the rules, not truly testing, not really trying the free trials. They do all offer free trials, so you should try them. True. Well, not all of them. FTMO offers a free trial, and so does E8. Yeah. And they will like give you a dashboard and stuff in the background. Like try it. See if you can truly pass it a couple of times before you invest the money in it. But I definitely think that there's good and bad to it. But it can definitely, it's marketed a certain way to be a little too appealing. But I would love to know more about your story, Miss Navy.
Yes.
Let me know, How we talk a lot, so everybody knows our stuff at this point, but how did you come about trading? How did you get into firms? What's your experience been? Tell us your story.
So essentially when I turned 18, I joined the Navy. So that's why Miss Navy came from, because I'm part of the Navy.
That's awesome.
Well, thank you for your services. I'm not from Australia, but thank you for your services.
Yeah, no, thank you. But yeah, so during my time, I'm always like a big advocate for like having different opportunities, like not being fully focused on one thing. So like when people say, "Oh, I want to quit my job and just focus purely on trading," like I think that's great at a certain point, but I also think that what happens if trading doesn't go well, you're gonna be properly screwed. So you don't want to be in that situation. Yeah. So that's like my kind of
properly
concept.
Screwed is correct. I love that. I'm gonna take that. But we actually talk. You haven't seen episode 1 yet, but we do talk about that. Yeah. You are truly properly screwed, and we have talked about having multiple incomes or having a backup income and not putting all that pressure on yourself, because when you put that pressure, you trade poorly. You're going to be emotionally trading. So yeah, we definitely agree with that. Continue. So, you're preaching, girl. Go ahead.
Yeah, no. Because I remember someone mentioned it in the group, and I was like, yeah, no, I strongly believe that, because I was like, end of the day, there's so much opportunity out there. You should just take advantage of it and use it to your benefit. So like for me, when I was serving for a bit, I took the opportunity to also pursue a degree in business, and I did finance and majoring in that, and like it was just a good opportunity because that gave me so much more doors to go through. So like I could stay in the Navy for a bit if I wanted to, I could stay my whole life if I wanted to, or I actually could leave and take like another job, like in the real world, yada. And essentially what happened is I wanted to kind of do a business, but I didn't want to do like drop shipping and all that when that was huge back in the days. Like,
why not?
Everybody does it now.
That's like, no, yeah, definitely not. And like my parents do like real estate investing, and like for me, I don't really want to deal with that because there's all like banks and mortgage, and then I don't know how they do it, like honestly.
Well, they do it because it pays well.
It does. I mean, yeah, it does, but like definitely not something I would have gone to do. So I looked in there, like typing Google, and I was like, what's a great business where I'm your own boss, and if the economy like fails and whatnot, you won't be impacted. And then it came up with day trading, right? So I Googled it, and day trading came out. I was like, don't do it, it's a scam. And I was like, oh, okay, well. Sure. It's a scam, fair enough. But then I watched Artie's video actually, and Artie was actually the YouTuber I got into trading with, and that's how I found like the trading floor and all that, and that's how I got into it essentially. So I learned from Artie basics. Artie made it very believable it's not a scam, so thanks to God. Otherwise I wouldn't be doing it anymore. But yeah, so I started my journey about like a year ago, back in May or something like that, while I was still kind of doing my service. I only just got out of my contract because I wanted to experience something else for a bit. So now I'm working in insurance, and you know that's fun too. But no, please.
Is it? Is it really?
No, but it's great because I can still help the community. Plus, I also am part of the like SES, which is like the non-profit organization that helps during natural disasters and stuff like that. So we get to go out and help those in need when time comes. Plus, being in insurance, it helps as well. So I know a lot more details about how insurance works. So it's great. And then that also gave me the opportunity to really start day trading more, like learning, actually full-on learning. So I guess in this, like back then, when you try to learn something that someone else is doing really well, like you try to copy them, but like you just realize that a strategy that works for them doesn't mean the strategy will work for you as well. And I was trying to learn like Artie's strategy, and to me, it was hard for me to understand because I didn't know why price was reacting the way it was reacting. And like that's how like the whole cycle started. You know, strategy hop, you try different things, you go around, like there's a whole rabbit hole you just jump through, like as a newbie. It's like everything that a normal new trader experienced, I definitely experienced it as well. And I'm sure, Christy, you remember I messaged you so many times saying that I want to quit. I really want to quit. I'm so close to quitting. Like, what can I do? And you're like, no, just take a deep breath. You're fine.
I think that's why I'm like such a fan of you being on here, is that I'm also like a softie for other female traders. Like, let's just say what it is. You know, I'm a softie for them because there's so few and far of us that are. And then to see somebody who sticks with it and like continues to do it, does a career like you doing, like, you know, is young and ambitious. Like, I really love that. And I love seeing women come in and just dominate in a very male dominated industry where we're not really represented that well. And to be fair, I've been told so many times that you're really good for a female trader. And I'm like,
I mean,
excuse me?
you beat majority of anybody.
And then they're like, oh, well, you're better than a lot of men. But I'm like, no, so I'm just a good trader. Like, it doesn't really matter whether, you know,
Yeah.
whatever. And I've seen a lot of women who are really good traders. And maybe another podcast topic someday, Jay, we'll cut you out. And no, just kidding.
Wow,
Bring on another woman.
I can spill the tea.
Yeah, I
chat
feel
with
like
the
you
ladies.
actually could. But yeah, I do find that women in general tend to have a really good risk management, like in general, which is something good. And yeah, you get emotional, you get frustrated, but I don't know, we're really good at like pushing through, like pushing on and moving. Like it's like, all right,
I mean,
you know?
it makes sense, we
Yeah,
won't go
I
into
mean, it
detail about
does.
pushing through things, but it
Stop.
makes sense.
I just feel like when you feel a little defeated and you just need that little reassurance. But yeah, I love hearing that you're live on these accounts and you're doing good now and in such a short time, which is awesome because I did not have that. So I love that you like found the community and you've been successful in a much shorter time than expected, like than what most people would probably expect. But go ahead, continue on. But yes, I remember you. I definitely know who you are.
You don't remember me. Like, I fangirl about you all the time. I'm always like, Jay, number one fan, Christy, all the way. Like, you don't remember me, I'm offended.
Yeah.
But yeah, essentially, yeah, even though I did achieve it in like a short time than like what normal people experience, I still like, it's like, I never thought about the like end game. I always thought about the next step, like the step. Like when you think about the big picture, I feel like that really does impact your performance because you're always like, oh, okay, so I should be at this point where I'm not losing at all. But like, that's not true. You do lose. Like that happens.
Yeah.
You just got to remember it's like a long game. So even though
it's
you
an
have
odds.
losing days,
It's a percentage, it's a probability game. You're gonna lose. If you get in your head that you lost and you get like, oh my God, I can't believe I lost, like you're gonna struggle now because it's all right to lose. But you know, that's losses are allowed to happen. I'd lose, you know.
Yeah, and that's fine. And like I felt like when I spoke to you, it really resonated with me because we had like a really big talk. I like messaged you at like 4 a.m. like my time because I couldn't sleep, and I was like panicking, stressing because I was like, I really love trading, and I was like, I enjoy the process, but it's not nice seeing like, you know, when you feel like you're doing so well, and then you get like a bad day, and it feels like everything is then turned back up and down, and you're like, I really hate this. Like I feel like, you know, I should be progressing further. But yeah, so like essentially, once I got past the whole strategy hopping and kind of understood what was happening, I found up like a strategy that resonated with me. Like I really think that a strategy for me resonated really well, and that was actually, I think it started with Chaos Coaster, aka Stairmaster, and then it came to Superstar, and then Happy Trail. So like I felt like once I started finding a strategy that I really understood and I really started to actually back test, like I did not do that at all. Like back testing was a no-go for me. I did that, I skipped it, realized how important it was back then because all those data statistics you grab, you know your loss rate, you know your win rate. It makes so much sense. And I felt like I've just skipped like a whole bunch of different steps because I'm trying to rush being funded. So eventually it kind of got that out of the way. And I think when I started actually full on focusing on trading, left the Navy for a bit and started doing my insurance and just working at like my other job, I actually started seeing results because I actually started putting in the time and effort and I had like a designated routine and all of that. And it kind of worked out. And then I think sometime in like June, so I've actually done all 3 different programs with MFF, yeah. So I did the rapid program first, and then I also jumped to the evaluation, and I'm also doing the accelerator program as well. So I have like multiple different accounts with them. I just kind of go through them because, as I said, I like to have multiple different accounts just because it's a backup in case anything happens, just another account. And then I also have another with PMO as well. So yeah, I have a lot of accounts. But yeah,
not a bad thing.
Sorry, yeah, exactly. It's not a bad thing.
No, I mean, we just said I have a ton of them too.
Yeah.
So. And you lose them, so it's fine.
Yeah, you do. You can lose them sometimes. So it's like not a bad idea to have a couple of them. And also I like that you try different styles. I always do the evaluations, but I like that, you know, you have tried stuff that is different. So I'll let you finish your story, but I'm going to ask you about them and see what you like afterwards.
Sure. Yeah, no, sure. But yeah, essentially I'm just trading at the moment. I don't really talk much in the group because I'm a bit shy. I was very
I
intimidating
think you
talking to you
talk.
guys.
You
I
are
talk.
on
Yeah.
a video podcast right now. Give yourself some more credit, okay?
You do
Okay.
talk. She talks a normal amount. Let's be fair. There are some people who talk a ton in there.
Yeah.
We appreciate it, you guys.
We're
We
looking at
appreciate
you,
it. You can
Bear.
talk.
We're looking at
there,
you.
there are some people
And
who
let's
talk
go.
a lot.
Look, Dad doesn't sleep. He always messages. He doesn't sleep, but it's great. Yeah, no, I do talk here and there. It's just like I'm very timid. Especially like talking to you guys when you guys messaged that, it was kind of scary. And as I messaged to Jay, I thought it felt like an interview to me, if anything. But like I love sharing my story because I understand that it's a struggle and we all go through it. And day trading can get lonely, so it's great to have a community that actually is there, going through the struggle and actually understand what you're going through. So there's people who are currently going through it and have gone through it. So it's always great to hear those stories and hear other people's stories, how they got to where they are. Because then if they can do it, you can too as well. But it just takes time. So no problem there. But yeah, that's pretty much my story.
So you got into the funded accounts. So you're trading on. Are you still in evaluations on any of them, or are you live on all of them?
No, live on all of them. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's go.
Yeah. Congrats. That's awesome. So and in a year, 2 years, less than 2 years, right? Time frame?
Less than 2 years. Yes, I started back
Amazing.
in May. Yeah.
That's awesome. So this is where like I feel like the pro comes from. Like this is a positive for them because if you were like me back in the day, you would be still working on probably trying to come up with enough capital to do it. I don't know your finances and I don't want to ask in that kind of way, but like typically most people aren't trying to drop like 100K into an account. So it's amazing that you've been able to have the positive side of these accounts where they can be life changing and but you're still working, which I also think is awesome, where you're showing that you haven't left your job yet. You take the withdrawals, you put them aside, you do whatever you need to do, whatever your reason is for trading, and you kind of feel it out a little bit. So I think that's awesome. Congratulations, like for real. Like it is such a huge deal to not only be on one live account, but to be on multiples and to have it for a couple of months, like definitely a while now. You've had a few lives, I think. I know.
Yeah.
It's been a while that you've been trading on them, right? Not like recent.
No, yeah, definitely. It's been like I think half a year now since I've been trading on them. Yeah,
nice.
That's
awesome.
That is a huge deal when it comes to like funded accounts. So a big issue people, like we said, is that they pass, but they don't necessarily like know how to sustain it. So congratulations on that. If you don't mind me asking, on average, like do you cut yourself off on one of them, or do you do like as you were talking about, like where you had, okay, this is bills, this is extra money, this is something else. Like, do you do that for yourself, or do you go like all out and are you like, no, I'm trading every single day to my withdrawal? Like, what version are you?
Okay, so I was a little bit both. So back before, actually, when I first got my live, I actually lost that account because I did the whole, oh, great, let's just skyrocket, let's just go for the moon. It's fine. Like I passed the challenge. That was hard. Couldn't do it before. Like the amount of money I spent actually trying to pass challenges was ridiculous. So when you kind of pass it, it's a huge achievement, and you're kind of like, great, sky's the limit now. So went there, did everything, lost the account. So I was like, shoot, well, that was silly of me. That was silly of me. And then I remember Ian mentioning something a while back as well, which I should have read it. Like, if he had messaged that a day before, I would have just stopped. I would have been like, he is so smart. Like, that's genius. I should stop. Because he messaged saying that, once you pass, it's great. Just like, make some profit, then stop. Let the month pass, get your, refund and get your little profit.
Exactly.
Just take it and walk away, right?
Don't over push it. Get that refund back. Get your percentage. Just make a little bit. Just get to the payouts, because then you go every 2 weeks. And Ian is out in the Discord. If you guys don't know who that we're talking about, he has been very vocal about his struggles with passing them, but then like failing to sustain them because he does these things. So if you're going to learn from anybody, he's the one to heed his warnings. Yeah, check him out in the mindset room. Heed his warnings because he has been there and he has done it. Shout out to Ian.
He actually
Thank you for being so open.
In an old community, he actually skyrocketed into trading to where he passed the prop firm within like 2 months.
couple months of learning
2
trading, and
months.
he has
And
under
he
that
said
false
he's-
impression.
Yeah, he has been stating that to every single new trader. Is like, the worst thing in my trading career was passing my first prop firm very quickly, because he's like, it gave him an expectation like, oh, this isn't that hard.
This is easy. I don't know what everybody's talking about. Yeah. So as far as the account styles go that you trade, do you do you have a preference? Do you like one more than the other? Or did you find one like easier? Is the expensive like live right away worth it?
Accelerated one, yeah.
For me, yeah, I don't see any issues with it, to be fair. Like, as long as you can actually pass, like it says it's like live, but in actuality you have to pass a certain like percentage and not be drawn. So you technically do have to pay a fee. So essentially that's there, you have to get like 10% or 20%. So you do have a goal in order to kind of grow their account. But like it's account, it's same as anything other account, because like once you do evaluation, you pass the first month, it's always bi-weekly. Same for the other account, except it's weekly, so it's not too bad. I like it. The profit split isn't that, like, the profit split is like compared to what the evaluation is, it's like 50-50, but you know, it's fair enough. Like, honestly, it's just great to have that kind of different experience to try out, because I just thought to give it a try and just let it grow and see how it goes, because my main goal was kind of focusing on growing the account and actually keeping it alive. And be able to do that is a huge thing, because I feel like it's hard to sustain account. Like, you got to be able to understand that setting account can be difficult, because you do go through different periods of the market, and there's going to be bad days, there's going to be bad months, and you just got to understand that you need to know how to kind of equip yourself to kind of stop that. And I believe you, Christy, you were like, if you lost like 5% of the account, you stop trading for the month, or stop trading until whatever the situation is going, stop.
Figure out what's going on.
I think that's
exactly. I never would go like 12%, 10% draw. Oh my god, my anxiety would be through the roof. I'd be a mess. I would never go that far. Back in the day when I was learning, obviously I just like blew accounts left and right because I didn't know what I was doing. But as far as like now, no, I would never go that into something's going on. Like, if my system is failing, that means I need to stop and I need to go back, and I have to do the back testing that nobody wants to do. Everybody pretends they do. They say they did. They do 1 week and they're like, looks solid. Like, you can't, that's not it. So you have to figure out what's going on. Yeah, we do a lot of that. Jay and I do a lot of that. For instance, when we launched TTF in May, we had done all our back testing on our strategies. Everything looked great. We were so excited.
Like,
so much time we spent.
People see the final product of trades, but you don't realize that we sometimes can go through iterations, because I mean, we're not magicians in the fact that we throw up settings and it just works right away. You obviously have, like, we have the capability of using like the strat test for TradingView, but that's a whole nother subject in itself, because
it's only so reliable.
It's not reliable when you're hedging and stacking the trades, and the data can kind of skew. But I've done like thousands of back tested trades. We finally got to the point where like, oh my god, this is looking great. The month of May happens, and
then we launched, and May was horrible. And
we're like, why does this suck? What? I'm like, dude, I couldn't have done anything more than what I had. It's just the fact that, like, you never know. You have to adapt all the time to the markets, because January through April, I mean, I was like, this shit's gonna be rocking. People are gonna be making money. May's like, nah, bro, it don't work like that.
So I mean, like anything, like we had May was just a really rough month in anybody who algo trades, and that was rough, but we had to stop. Like we stop, and we don't sit there and be like, oh, I mean, back testing wise, we show you the good and the bad. We show you the really bad. But never should you have traded an account until you're like negative 20 something, and then turn around and be like, Christy, what's up?
What happened?
What happened was you didn't stop trading. But we did talk a lot about that during the month of May, where we were like, there's just so many things that had happened in the economy and in the world. And there was just like a lot of news that had released that just really threw things off, and that can happen. So sometimes that just happens when you know that there's a lot going on in the world or with the pairs that you trade. You have to stop what you're doing and like reevaluate like what's going on, and should I be trading even? Should I not? And this is where, again, I back you should have multiple streams of income. So you do not feel pressured to take trading as like at a time when you shouldn't, to be taking trades you shouldn't, to be pushing yourself to trade when you know your system is struggling right now. It doesn't mean you have a bad system. It just means that at the time, the market is not ideal for what you trade and the way you trade. So I think that that's a big thing. I mean, I've said it before, I'll say it again. I don't trade every day, except for strategy wars I did, but I don't trade every day, and nor do I think anybody should. I don't think that you should sit Monday through Friday and expect yourself to say like, oh, I trade Monday through Friday. Like, that's stupid to do. Not every day is it going to work for you.
Don't put time limits on your success either. I mean, you obviously have like the prop firms dangling like a little cheese, and you're like a little mouse on a treadmill trying to get to it. And then, like, you
got Miss Navy showing off here less than 2 years, and she's I just got like accounts everywhere.
Still a lot of people are like months into this, and they think 2 years is like, oh, dude, it won't take that long for me. Like, I like, there's people in the group, and I don't say anything because like I hope the best for them, but I'm like, you're gonna learn. I was like, you're gonna find out. It's just the fact that it's like, okay, I'm going to.
Jay says things. Let's be for real. Jay still tells them.
I see.
Jay sends his little pet bay with the coffee.
I don't beat around the guys. I don't beat around the bush. You need a bad cop sometimes, but it's just the fact that like they're like, okay, at the end of 2023, I'm gonna have my first funded account, 20,000. Then I am going to make 10%. I'm gonna make this much, and then I'm gonna fund for free a $300,000 vow, and then at like the second quarter of the year 2023, I'm gonna have my 300,000, and then by that time I'm gonna do this, and by the end of 2023, I'm gonna have like $500,000 worth of funded capital, and I'm gonna be making six figures a month. And it's like, dude, you were setting yourself up to fail, because in the instant that you don't do that, it's gonna be such a psychological burden on you.
For sure.
Messing with your head, for sure. You put that pressure, and when you don't meet that goal or expectation, you start to get emotional. You just can't help it. It's a failure in your eyes. It's like, oh, I haven't done it, and then you put that stress, you put that notion of failing, and then you will emotionally trade, and that's you do not want to be trading when you're emotional like that, or over risking or over leveraging to like catch up or whatever you think you have to do. So
that's why I wanted to give like both sides of the coin. The fact that yes, prop firms, if you're newer to trading, it is the greatest avenue for you to get started, because it's just the
capital.
fact. No, it's just the fact that if you were newer and you need capital, you now have one problem eliminated from you. Because normally, like when Christy started trading, I didn't really have this problem because I came in a little bit later, right when prop firms were starting to come out more. It's the fact that you had to learn how. Yeah, exactly. I'm lucky as hell, girl. You had to first learn how to trade.
Jay is lucky, because Jay, like you, Miss Navy, also passed on his first try and was like, oh, I mean, I'm just funded. so easy.
But the first thing, you obviously have to learn how to trade, and backtesting, like Navy says, is key, because in backtesting, you can figure out what strategy works, what settings work, how many losses can you see in a row, how much can you risk per trade to kind of mitigate like what you can expect. For example, I'll kind of get into 5%ers because that was what Christy had said about that. But
before you get in it, I also want to say what else Miss Navy said, along with what Jay's saying, is a routine. I feel like we didn't really focus on that, but I do want to pick that up. You said when you got into a routine, you started doing better. And I truly believe that, whether it was that you were in a routine with work or whatever, and it just forced you to trade at certain times, or forced you to like be focused on one like area at a time. Like routine, people definitely underestimate, I think, when it comes to trading. And yes, I don't trade every day, but I have a routine when I do trade. Like I have a process that I go through. And I think that is so important, along with what Jay's saying, is having the back testing. You can back test all you want, but if you're just like coming on whenever you want, and you're like, oh, sometimes Asian session does good. Sometimes sometimes I trade New York.
Good plan, execute your plan.
And you have to stick with it. So strategy, a plan, a routine, like back testing, all of that has to be done before you ever even try even a free prop firm. And then knowing the rules for the prop firm and making sure that your strategy like won't violate those drawdowns potentially, or what is your cutoff limit, like what are you going to do. So that is definitely important. And Jay, as you guys heard in the first episode, is data man, and he just like tested the crap out of stuff. And that is why, I mean, truthfully, he was really, really good with his probability strategy, which I do love. I'm intrigued by it. You guys haven't actually heard about it. Maybe someday we'll talk about it, but it is interesting what he did. And I think that that's a huge reason why he passed on the first try and was funded right away. And I'm like, how long you been trading? And he's like, couple months. I'm funded. No biggie. And I was like, what?
Yeah, so
Anyway,
kind of
go
get
ahead.
into that. Connor, I forgot to mention it earlier in the podcast. And then whenever Navy had talked about accelerated going to 50-50 split, that reminded me of 5%ers. So 2 years ago, just kind of a little quick thing.
He's calling them out now, just saying. He just said I wasn't going to call out the place, but he's calling them out 5%ers.
Yeah,
Yikes.
whatever. No, well,
They're not
I have to
video.
because no, I have to because to explain this. There technically is like a fourth type of account for a prop firm, and 5%ers is kind of known for this, and it's a scaling account where you start off with. I'd start off with like an $80,000 account, and so basically, if you make a certain percentage, once you make it didn't have to be per month, like it didn't reset per month. It's just whenever you made a certain percentage in the account, then it would double and like it keep doubling, but it's kind of a pipe dream. I don't really recommend it as a primary account. I would recommend it as if you have an account already, like with FTMO or MFF or something like that. It could be a fun secondary account to do, just to kind of play around, see how high you can take it. But the problem with 5% is the fact that a lot of these scaling firms sell you on the pipe dream of you can double your account all the way up to 2 million, but in reality, their leverage is so low to where I had 1-6 leverage on the normal account. And just to put that in perspective, I put a 0.4% risk trade on, and I went to put another 0.4, and I was already margined out. I'm like, wait, excuse me. I will say that 5%ers has a really, really good customer support team because I messaged them and right away they put me on the aggressive plan. So I had 1-30, so I was able to risk a little bit more. But it was just the problem that they limit you very, very heavily. And so you only have to make, it was like 7% to pass, and they gave you 6 months, which I think is a cool aspect of it. They don't give you just 1 month to pass, but they give you 6 months and you have to make 7%. You're like, oh, 7% is not that bad. But when you factor in the 1-6 leverage for the normal account, you're at most being able to take 1.4% trade at the time. And so whenever, and then also just to kind of give some perspective, it was a -4% overall drawdown. And so when I had done my back testing, I had factored in, okay, in my back testing, I could see 7 to 8 losses in a row. So I'm like, I'm going to give myself a barrier. So I'm going to say, I'm going to lose 10 trades in a row on my prop firm. What would that entail? So a -4% overall drawdown and 10 trades losing just flat out the gate, I'd have to risk 0.4%. So that's kind of how I got to that number, just to give you like a little barrier for yourself. But I bumped it up to 1-30, and the overall drawdown stayed the exact same at -4, but instead of 7, I had to make 12, which I ended up doing, obviously. And then instead of making 10% to double your account, you had to make 25%. And so if I'm risking 0.4% to make 0.8% and I have to make 25%, my mental was chalked because that was the first account. Like I was trading live. I made a good amount of money with them. But
let's get to the fun part. What did you end up doing to lose that account, Jay? Let's talk about what happens. So let's talk about the reality of being a funded trader and getting frustrated about it.
So I was like 2 months into live and I had made my money. And you know what? I was like, this is so frustrating because I was trading my plan and I was doing great. I was like, and I wasn't able to take all the trades that I wanted to. And so it got to the point where I was like, you know what? I'm taking my money out of this account that I made. I'm going all in on one trade that I think is going to tank. And whether I lose the trade or not, whatever.
I went for the Hail Mary.
I went for the Hail Mary. It was almost like I like looking at it now, it's like I didn't really need to do that. I didn't have the patience that I've acquired now, obviously, but it was just the fact that it was so frustrating to start as a beginner on that small of a leveraged account and a scaling, like just always like you can have a $2 million account like here.
Yeah. So for reference, just so you guys understand what Jay's talking about when we're talking about leverage, he is talking about 1-6. And so you guys understand, like those style accounts, that scaling account, that's what I was talking about in the beginning. Like that really is all I had access to. 1-6 is extremely small.
I think it was FTMO. Actually, FTMO was still around.
And FTMO, FTMO has up their leverage, but so you guys get an idea of what the leverage looks like in reality to like what people have now. most people who are doing challenges are allowed to have up to 1 to 500 for leverage. So Jay had like 1 to 6 to work with, but live goes 1 to 100, most of them. Some are a little bit lower, but in the big boys pretty much give you 1 to 100 leverage, which definitely, you know, again, kind of feeds into the, like, they make the rules a little bit easier. They make things seem more appealing, but at the same time, it draws a riskier trader, and people can tend to over risk it. They pull a lot more Hail Marys, like Jay did. So there are good and bad.
Take your profits out before you Hail Mary, though. That's the key.
Yeah, yeah. I think at the end of the day,
don't do that, guys, please.
Well, you should take your profits all the time.
No, like take your profits, but don't Hail Mary. And that's
no, don't Hail Mary. But a lot of people do it, and I try to understand why. I really do. I guess some people just look for it. So I do know people who truly do this. They will prop firm hop, and they just look for one good payout. They will trade insane just to get that big chunk of a payout, and they don't care what happens to the account afterwards. In reality, though, if you're looking to make trading a real, steady, consistent income, you know, that's probably not the way to do it. And that's not really what the prop firms want either. They do have their rules and they have their reasons. And one is because they would ideally like to copy trade good traders.
Yeah.
Do I believe they copy all of their good traders? Some of the newer setups? No, that's the reality. I don't think that they do. I think that
do you blame them? Like, show a little empathy. Like, you're some random person, you know? Like,
their passing rules are way too easy, and I understand why they don't do it. There is, you know, they have their own like liquidity pools they can pull from, and leverage they have to follow. And when you have everybody trading in the same way, or you have people trading super risky or over risking, you know, it puts their accounts at risk, and they're not going to do that either. So I get why they don't necessarily. Some of these newer models, they're making their money off of your sign up fees. So they're making money off you failing. So, I mean, there is a marketing gimmick there where they're making it seem super easy. They're drawing the attention of new traders, kind of putting the world on a silver plate for you to take. You know, do I think it's wrong? I don't know. I know some people feel that it's all BS that they do, and they start throwing the scamming word out there. I don't think that they're scammers. I think that they are businesses, and you know, all of us to join a prop firm should be, I believe, 18. You had to be for most of them. You should be an adult. You should be doing your own education as to what you're getting yourself into. You know, you don't get mad at like Coca-Cola or McDonald's or somebody for advertising to you. So I mean,
you could get mad. I mean, there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah. Somebody is upset, but no, you know, guys, what I'm saying. So I don't get upset with them for their marketing and advertising. And I think it is really nice that they have lowered the requirements for sure. And they've made it easier, more accessible to a retail trader. It gives a lot of people the ability to work from home. Does that mean that it's going to work for everybody? No. That's the reality. But for the very lucky ones, like Miss Navy here, you know, it really can be a godsend, and it really can accelerate your income a lot faster with trading than doing it, you know, to the traditional way of having to build up an account. So I'm very grateful for you to come on and talk about it. Do you have anything you want to share? Any advice?
I was gonna say, Navy, like we're gonna wrap this up with you. And so what I want you to do now is I want you to give advice to the newer traders in the sense that pretend it's almost like a circle of life, to where you are actually out of body experience. You, like Old Navy in another dimension, is watching this podcast, and it's like, I'm kind of interested in trading, but like, what should I know before I get into trading? So
Jay went all out with that, but I just meant like a baby trader. But you know, if you want to talk to your like otherworldly self,
talk to your other dimensional Miss Navy. Whatever. What would you tell me?
Anyway.
I honestly would say 1% improvement each time. So as Jay mentioned before, don't think of it like, by 2023, I want to have this account, I want to be live by this, time, I want to be this amount of money. like I realized that what I used to think like that, and it really did hinder my performance. It really did make me suffer as mentally in my performance, and it because I was trying to push for something that I wasn't ready for.
Mhm.
So that 1% improvement each day, I think there was a story about that, about the bicycle to for France or something like British or something like that. A huge thing anyway. But a whole 1%. So like take the time, like start with back testing, like make a goal for back testing, start with collect like 50 samples of back testing data and then 50 samples of live trading, forward testing, see how that goes. Then do another 1%. So start looking at like trading at a certain time. Like it's like 1% each time until like you're slowly coming to a point where you're improving slowly over time, and then you're gonna get there eventually. Like I feel like all the hard work you put into it, it's tedious. We kind of don't want to do back testing. We don't want to, do all the hard labor and all that stuff. We kind of just want to get there. It's not fun, Jay.
Some people really like it, which I've encountered those people like Jay.
I agree with what you're saying. It's learn how to walk instead of sprint. This whole environment with trading now is kind of like, why can't I just sprint? So I definitely agree with that.
Yeah, so it's like a marathon, not a sprint. And like I remember Ian like posted like a I think it was like a meme, or like not a meme, like the inspirational little quote things, all these, like those ones. The whole like 1% exponential kind of graph thingy. Like, yeah, like honestly, that's just so true, because you can't improve. You need to improve slowly in order to get to the final like results. Like you don't expect a sprinter or like a marathon runner to like full on jump on track and start running a 21 kilometer sprint, like marathon. Like you're not going to do that. Like it's not going to happen. You got to start small, do like, 5-kilometer, keep practicing until you're better at that, then do 10, and then eventually grow up further and further until one day you can do a 21-kilometer marathon. Like, it's kind of like concept. So you got to treat trading like that. It's like a long-term game. So you got to actually think it like that. It's a long-term. You're going to have ups and downs. It's not easy, but you have a community like TTF with a lot of amazing people in the community that can really help you, get past that. Like everyone's gone through it. Like
let's give like hearts. Like that was so sweet.
Yeah.
We didn't even ask her to plug us, and she did.
No, it's true. It's great to have like mentors, those who have gone through it, who aren't like selling the pipe dream, saying that, oh, it's easy, like do this, do that, like it's easy peasy. It's not true. It's not. And like everyone's gone through it. Everyone's on a different journey. It takes, it could take years, takes months, who knows? But you have amazing community out here in the mindset room as well to chat in there, ask questions, ask for help. It's okay to ask for help. Everyone's gone through the stage of quitting. Like I've done it like 5 times already. But yeah, just reach out, go through it, ask everyone. And yeah, it's just great because, as I said, trading can be lonely. So it's great to have a community with everyone around the world, like everywhere around the world, reaching out and just telling their dreams and their stories and stuff like that. So it's great.
Oh,
yeah, thank you for having me, guys.
Yeah, I think it's amazing. I totally agree. You have to pace yourself. We've never, ever promised anybody you're going to be successful overnight. I think if you think that you want to be, or you even like, I've had people reach out all the time and like, how do I start trading? Like, you need to make money. And I'm like, you shouldn't do it. Like, I am the wrong person to talk to, because I will tell you it will not happen. And like, unless you're willing to put in this work, unless you're willing to do the annoying, boring back testing and like troubleshooting, and like if you're just if you don't want to do the work, you're not going to be good. That's the reality. This is a job for you. This is a skill that you have to learn. Like anything, it takes time, and it takes that to push. And like you said, like you're not going to get there overnight. Nobody, no sprinter doesn't get there. LeBron, Jay loves sports references. I love LeBron didn't get there overnight.
Well, you're not going to walk up to LeBron and say, teach me how to dunk in a week. Like, you might not be able to do that.
And some of us will never dunk. Some of us just won't do it,
But 95% of traders won't ever consistently be profitable. So you can't expect out the get-go in a few months. Potentially, there are people that are anomalies, and if you have better guidance to where you can kind of have some shortcuts, sure, but you have to put like 8-hour days each day if you have that time.
See, I don't believe in that. I actually don't think there's anomalies out there. I think there are lucky ones who get lucky short term, but if you ask them to stay consistently profitable for the next few years, will they actually be able to do it in a month, like after 1 month of being like,
it's just
good? And I think there's that they get in their head, and you don't if you're not, I don't think you're just naturally good at it. I'm just going to be honest. There's nobody who's like woke up and it's like, wow, I am a natural at reading.
You never like wake up like this. Like, I don't understand. But
you're
no,
like, these
what
bars are calling to me. Like,
what
no,
I was kind of getting
nobody
at
does
is like,
that.
you can't expect to wake up, be like, I'm gonna pick up trading and be better than 95% of people in the world. Like,
Exactly.
nobody ever puts perspective to that. They just see trading like, he makes a lot of money, I can too. But it's like, bro, like, you don't know how long it's taken him to get to that point.
Well, they watched the YouTube video and it was 8 minutes and they should be able to trade.
They should
No,
be
there
able to.
is work and stuff that goes into it. And as Miss Navy explained, you know, she's been following me for a little while now and doing a few of the strategies that we have kind of put out. And I really love that you have taken Happy Trail now, which is old Superstar type of version, a little bit more simplified. And I really love that you have taken it. And not only have you just like taken, we do it more generic. Like when we're creating strategies, we give it to you, we back test things, but we give it for the masses. And I explain this when people ask questions, like I can only make it so personalized for you guys, because otherwise, like not everybody's going to be able to mark up the same zones and see the same stuff all the time. So that's hard for us to back test. So we do try to make it a little more general. And it's your job then to take it and play with it, customize it, practice with it, figure out what works for you. And I know you have done that. Like your
slay those prop firms.
version, your version of Happy Trail is your own version, and you have done amazing with it. So congratulations. My very last question for you is: are you sticking with just one strategy, or are you kind of doing a mix of things when you're trading on your accounts? Do you trade the same thing for all of them?
Yeah, so I keep the foundation the same and I just put mix and chooses. So as you said before, like Happy Trail, like I trade it differently to everyone because yes, I understand the foundation of Happy Trail. I feel like you need to understand the foundation of the strategy itself before you start kind of modifying it and changing it around. Like the Lorien especially, like everyone trades it differently. Like some people trade it with like smart money concept added into it and all that. So it's the same concept, and I do it because I like to keep things consistent. And to me, the way I trade Happy Trail, it makes sense to me. Like I can actually understand what the market is doing. And I feel like you shouldn't like, you know, if it's not broken, you know, keep it and just kind of fix it and modify it until it improves. But yeah, so I don't feel the need to actually find another strategy and have so many different strategies up my sleeve. I think having one that works for you, that helps you understand what the market is doing and has proven to work for you as well with multiple different data and, you know, back testing and all that as well. You know, just stick to it and just keep growing.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself, Navy. And so, guys, with that concludes episode 3 of Prop Firms.
I almost said 2. I forgot. Yeah.
Fist bump.
Fist bump. There it is. Can we do it? There we go. We got it.
Oh,
so,
you gotta come up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
So, Navy, thank you for coming on to the podcast, sharing your story, and enlightening us on like your journey so far. I think it's important that people get different perspectives. Christy has been in the game for a while now. I'm kind of getting to that intermediate phase, and you're just kind of sprouting, which is really cool. And so, guys,
I think she's intermediate and you're sprouting.
Actually, you're better than me. I'll give you that.
She's got like a lot of lives.
Yeah, you're better than me. Yeah, you're the greatest. You're the greatest to ever do it. So, for those listening who might be doing trading solo, it's very lonely. I understand that. I've been there. So is Christy. You don't have to be. Drop down below in the description and check out our website and potentially sign up where you can have guidance from people like this awesome lady right here, me, and unfortunately, Christy, you have to kind of work with her. But other people like Artie and Bruce, as well as other individuals, just like Miss Navy, who've really sprouted out and just are willing to help people. It's really cool. But
she does not work for us, guys, so please don't bombard her with messages. She is not an employee. This is not a paid advertisement from her. She's not. No, she's not. She's a true member who has honestly just been doing really good. But she has helped where she can, but be respectful of her time. She does really trade. Yeah. So if you guys are asking for help or questions, but yeah, she has been around. Are you going to be in Strategy Ward 2, season 2? I forgot to ask it. Sorry, Jay. I know you're trying to close it up, but I'm trying to figure out my teams. So this is important.
Yeah. So look, Christy, we gotta be on the same team. So I'll just follow you, okay?
We'll talk
So whatever you
after.
say, I will follow you.
I will actually transition
No,
into that,
don't
and
strategy
so
hop.
I will transition into that. And so next episode, episode 4, will actually be our big reveal on October the 17th about what Strategy Wars is coming. Strategy Wars is going to be starting in November, and me and Christy are basically going to be going over everything. We're going to have a few people on the podcast as well, just to kind of get some hype up.
Some more Strategy War people. Miss Navy was a participant with Happy Trail, but we will have some other participants coming in who, since we got to talk to you a little bit, throw it in here. But yeah, so I'll let you know. But I know she was heartbroken. I wasn't on Happy Trail. I got a lot of heat for it. So sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry. And I love Happy Trail. I do love Happy Trail. It's by far my favorite strategy. But we'll see. I don't know. The Stairmaster people, they did me proud, so we'll see.
But that will be for next episode, guys. Make sure you add us to your list if you're on the podcasting apps, and if you're on YouTube. I mean, y'all know the deal by now. Please smash that like button. Comment below what you liked about this. Show Miss Navy some love, because she's not shy at all. Like, she's just using that as the excuse. She killed it. And and subscribe if you like the content. Let us know what y'all like, and maybe what in the future. We have a lot of things lined up, but we always take requests for everything. And other than that, like I said, episode 4 coming out next Monday, October 17th. Stay safe, guys. Happy trading, and peace.
Bye.
Peace. Bye, guys.
Bye. This is 8 a.m. call.
Let's go. We're back. We're back on the side. Look, give me a fist bump.
Hey.
No, you gotta go higher. Fist bump.
Fist bump? I don't know.
You gotta hit my fist.
I can't.
Look at the video. Look at the video. Look, your right arm.
Okay.
Go up higher.
Oh God. Okay.
And then go. Fist bump. We should end it like that.
I'm like, what's crazy is like I'm actually sitting on my foot, like to boost me. Like I feel like I'm still too short. That's why I can't reach all the way up there.
Well, you got to whenever we finish. I think that'll be funny when we fist bump every time.
Yeah, I'm like climbing up to try. Bring your arm down. All right. Yeah. See, that works. All right. Anyway. All right. Did that work for you, Jay?
Yeah, it's perfect, Chris.
All right. Back on track. Let's get.
You could be Team J. Like, it's okay to be Team J. So.